The one thing I want you guys to focus on is just like straight up go for height sometimes, right? Because like you need to be confident when you're going for it. But there's a specific strategy in this video that I think everyone can take beast on. But I want to show it to you when we get there. This was from last season, but I think what we can learn from it is the fact that, you know, metas are actually really similar. There's still launch pads. Cows are gone, so there's that difference. And harpoons in. That's basically the gist of it. Like, there's not much else to it, right? The fact that it's still a launch pad meta, it makes it very similar. So I think what we can do is learn from this cash cup and still apply it pretty well to the cash cup coming up.
That is true,
Let's
but there's
go
like
on
this
the
new thing. It's called shadow floppers.
Yep.
And it's like literally the best thing to get height, because I was watching a VOD review on it.
Yep.
And like people were going up to height and they were just going behind height and just 200 bumming them without even them knowing, because you're a ghost.
Yeah, exactly. That's a really good point. Several things I want you to understand with shadow floppers is, like, if you just teleport upwards, you can actually like keep going up. So in an end game, if you have a shadow flopper, really good to like sneak up through builds and get through. Even if you accidentally go into someone's box, you can just click again after like a second and just get out. So it's not a big deal. And you're absolutely right. You can totally sneak up on height, like get out behind them. And then the key thing is, when you get out behind them, I'm actually going to show you because I have the game open. The key thing that you have to do with the shadow flopper is, you know, it makes a sound when you get out, right? Like it makes a very audible sound. But what you need to do is really make sure that you're out of range, right? So like, let's say there's a tarp. I won't even have a shotgun just so you can like beating it up. Let's say this guy's like tarping towards zone and he's like up here, and then he connects, right? He connects up here. And then we're back here because we just shadow flop back storm, like we're coming up. You want to get out like a little bit further away so he doesn't notice you. And then as soon as you get out, you pump him and then just ramp over him like this, right? You need to ramp over. If you don't ramp over, he might ramp over you, and then you lost your height take, right? If he does this, you lose. Okay, because he's gonna place the wall, you can't actually piece him through the wall, right? And then he's just gonna crank, and then he's over. So the most important thing, right? You have to understand, you cannot go for the kill. Don't try to go for the kill. It's most important that you just pump him. Like once you intimidate him, you just ramp over him, right? Just get over it, and you should be good. Game one, obviously, he has a very similar game plan to everyone else, which is W key, because of the fact that he's significantly better than all the people in this lobby because of how elo works. So he's just gonna W key. Parasites are in this game, but like I don't think it matters too much. The fighting fundamentals is the same. Huge HP advantage, he's gonna W key and end the fight. Really. You should honestly like jump in, like it's not even a big deal. But the only reason he's not doing it now, you don't hear it. But this guy chuck cannon 3 times, right? So that's gonna be a thing. Now the difference between last meta and this meta is that chuck cannon is gone and now there's splashes, right? Splashes are very similar. They're very fast 20 HP heals. So if you hear that, right, because they make a very audible noise, if you ever hear that, you need to slow down. You don't actually have the HP advantage that you think you have, so you need to like slow down. That guy healed for a lot more than you think, and then he goes for a piece himself. Wait, a cool trick, this doesn't matter now, but a cool trick MrSavage did with the cow, maybe the cow comes back, is exactly what we're watching right now. He uses the cow and then he jumps towards someone because it doesn't make a lot of noise, and then gets on midair and then pumps them. He does it so often, and it works really well. But again, obviously not applicable this meta, so we don't have to worry too much about it. I don't like this specific push because of the fact that he's like so far away from Storm, and if you notice, Storm's coming in. So if he wants to, he should have just killed him here. Yeah. If he wants to like, you know, do this fight, he needs to kill him quick, and because it takes so long, he's probably gonna disengage. Yeah, he needs to leave. He's holding him basically, the idea.
Wait, why didn't he pick up the chuck cannon from that first kid?
Because that's actually a really really good insight. The reason is because if he has a chuck cannon, he wants to use the cow to W key people because of that shot that I mentioned. And if he has a chuck cannon, it's only going to be cow chuck cannon, which isn't a good loadout because chuck cannon at max only heals for 75 and has a very long cooldown, right? In that case, mini bigs are better if he wants to W key. In a high elo lobby, let's say he's in like game 2, game 3, game 4, and he won game 1 already, he's gonna do chuck cannon minis, right? Because he cares more about that. But because in this case he wants to W key people, he wants the cow. Essentially, he wants to move around the map faster. Got him. Like actually got him. But I want you to notice the biggest thing in this game is not going to be game 1. Game 1 is very normal. It's very much like how game 1 is from other, you know, pro players playing Battlefield. But the main thing that we're going to learn from this one is his height takes. His height takes in high elo games are actually amazing. What is his name though? Right hand piece there. You see that? That's why he welcomes that. He handshakes this. several reasons. The other guy doesn't necessarily know where Savage is, but Savage knows exactly where the enemy is because the enemy broke the wall, right? So then he's gonna handshake them because of the right hand peek. And then covers them, and then he waits for the shot right here. You notice one more time, right? Shoot, places the floor. The other guy shoots his shot into the floor. That's a really good invitation for Savage side, right? The other guy's shotgun is not ready. Oh wow, I get the side wall. Very good. Again, I wouldn't worry so much about this game. This game is not that much to learn from. Like, if you're just a bad fighter or like not that strong, you should learn just from watching it. But like, I wouldn't change your game play stuff too much. Like, don't try to drop a 20 bomb if you're like not that good at fighting. Focus more on dropping like an 8-kill win and actually just getting a win, because the win is the majority of the points. These pro players that are really good at W keying, they're just trying to thirst out an extra like 10 points or so. It's not that big of a deal if you don't get a really high kill win. There's not that many people left. 13. He's like free rotating forward, covering himself here and there, looking up for height. There's a lot of mats I want you guys to. There's like 1k. It's a lot. Quite a lot. He's gonna let everyone get ahead and then maybe look for height. Oh, that's a good height angle. Do you see this? So the height guy is up here on this floor. You can barely see it, but he's up there, right? You can see the floor barely. This cone is preventing the height guy from actually seeing Savage at all. So this is a good opportunity to start cranking up. Okay, and then slowly get up. You see this angle right here? This is so good for height takes. And specifically, I call it the height blind spot. And that's the reason why it's really good, is because if you ramp up right here and then side jump on the side, when you side jump, that's the first time height's gonna see you. Right now, height can't see you. Right? Height doesn't see you at all. So he side jumps. Again, same concept that I just talked about in that creative. You shoot the guy and then immediately crank over him. You don't try to, like, you know, kill him right away. Now, Savage might drop down and kill him because it's game 1. Again, low elo lobby, so he might try to challenge this guy. But in high elo lobbies, the difference is Savage does this exact same thing, except doesn't fight the guy. Yeah, he's in zone right now, so he's chilling. That awareness was not. The reason why he did a wide edit here, instead of like a peanut butter or whatever, is that the fact that peanut butter is much harder to execute, and he already cracked this guy right here. He just shot him crack. MrSavage is untouched. Like, he's fully free. So if you take a 50-50 here, you should win, because this guy didn't. Okay, look where zone pulled. It pulls far from where MrSavage did. If you look at MrSavage and where zone, he's like at the top left, like where Craggy Cliffs is. He's like at the first G. He's like up there, right? So he's next zone pulls really far. It doesn't make a lot of sense for him to like go across right now, right? Especially because this guy is probably gonna have height. This guy just landed on height. But he drops. He doesn't care that much. He can retake it later if need be. But you can see a free rotating. Only 6 people, so it's better to save a little bit of mats by free rotating here. If there's still like 25 people here, then like, yeah, you can't really deal with it. He's playing the lobby according to how many people there are. So if there's not that many people, you should be able to like just rotate really free. Because 6 people for second moving is very low. Very low amount of people. There's all this like game sense that you should get, you know, used to. Getting that guy. This is a free shot though. So close to jump. Yeah. Oh, that guy's dropping, so he doesn't care anymore. Oh, you can chop here, 100%. Yeah, edit his walls out. Cones that, and then he goes up. So the timing here as to why he gets height is because he starts going up when the other guy's falling, right? So it's like, right? And then the other guy, the Savage, is gonna have height over him easily. If you start going up after he lands, the guy can ramp over you. But you need to start going up as he's falling. So the guy started falling, goes up. Oh, yes, height. Pretty simple, I think. He has 400 mats. Even if it doesn't do that significant amount of damage. Oh, that was a good. Oh my god. 97. He's winning hard on HP. He's thinking about the match because he only has 8 builds, but I think he needs to just kill this guy with 8 builds. Okay, this is where it gets interesting. This is actually where it gets interesting. Game 1 in this VOD review is not that crazy. The amount of times he uses a pad to save a ton of mats in first moving, and then take height in this solo cash cup is actually ridiculous. And I genuinely believe it's literally the main reason as to why he comes first place. Like every single time. I think that's a really good like thing to observe. Like we can still learn from these fights. That was a good time. So we can still learn a lot from these fights, but I think the biggest thing that we can learn that we can apply for next season, or at least season 8, the thing that we can apply for season 8 is the fact that he's going for height every single time after first moving, and he does it in a very similar way as to what we just watched in game 1. A really similar way. He's gonna out. That was a good kill. Looking for a pad. End up using his own. Nice. Recycled another. Honestly, I thought he should have shot up the top to get a longer life, but it's not too bad. Go for height this game, but there's still a lot to be learned from his mid-ground play. I mean, he abuses Cal here, but essentially the way we're going to do it in this season is use our harpoon to steal max. Like, you're going to cart a lot more and then use your harpoon to steal water max. You need to get a harpoon. It is such a good item. Oh, that was so close. That was so close. His awareness that he can, reset this wall is so nice. How many people would try to reset after they already get ramped off? This is crazy to me, right? Like, he gets ramped off, and instead of, trying to shoot or, like, panic or 50-50, he knows this guy's going to edit his ramp, he just already looks up to, grab the wall. And then shoots it to reset the HP. So notice how low HP it is? This is really well played. He pumps it to get it back to a normal HP. There's 1 HP before, because of all the edits. Having just this one. Don't pulls, he needs to get away in. Not his edits. Just the one wall, yeah. No, all of this is not his. He notices it goes downhill. So every time it goes downhill, you can find a way to get to low gun. It'll be really good for you as long as it's not going up. Yeah, he's just gonna go lower because it's so dead. You see how dead it is on this layer? The specific reason as to why that is, I'll show you here. MrSavage is going this way. The zone looks like this, right? And previously, let's say, zone goes like that. Previously, the storm walls are like this, right? Which means the lowest player could only be boxed like right here, right? And then, as storm moves and it goes to like here, notice how like this layer below is going to be completely empty because no one's going to be dropping down. Like everyone's just going to be like naturally staying on their layer. So if you can get down into this layer, it's going to be really dead, right? And that's what we see with MrSavage. Look how dead this area is. There's probably some people back in their build on the left, but like on the right side, it's really nice. This allows you to save a ton of mats. If you can find this situation, it allows you to save a ton of mats. I think he goes up here because I believe it goes up there. Right? I don't like that he's full tarping here, but the specific reason I think he's full tarping is because he only has wood. So what I think MrSavage should have done, I think this is actually really important, is to save his brick for later and use his wood now, right? And I think that using his wood now would actually make a significant difference to the game. Because if you use brick later on, you don't have to full tarp the way he does. I feel like the only reason he does that is because, like all of this right here could be wood. There's no reason as to why it can't be wood. It's best to use your hard mats in static zone. And when I say static zone, I'm referring to the white circle of the, moving. You can get into static zone and then build a brick or metal box. That's what you should be doing because you're going to be in that zone for a while. You need a reinforced box. As for, like tarping stuff, every time you're like fast tarping or like running forward, you really need to be making sure that you're getting rid of your wood. You're using your wood in that instance. I feel like that's like a much better alternative. In. Like if you use brick, you wouldn't have to full tarp. I feel like he's full tarping because it's wood. He's a little scared. Like I was looking, that's why he like he's just winging on that level. He has a cow. He's totally a cow. Good. To the head. And I want you guys to see the difference between this game where he doesn't go for height, maybe because he doesn't see an opportunity for it, and all the other games that are about to come up later on in this video where he's going to go for height. And he's going to do it in a really smart way that I want to break down. But when he does that, the results of the game are significantly better because of the fact that you spend way less mats on height compared to a mid ground or a low ground layer. When you're mid ground or low ground, you're spending 4 or 5 builds per tile that you're moving forward. Whereas on height, you're literally spending like 1 or 2 max. And that's why it's so much better if you can secure height safely in solos. And there is a really safe way to do it, and we need to watch out for that. And the thing about learning about this method to get height is the fact that once you learn it, you can actually defend against it better. And if you can defend against it better, it's going to be a lot, you know, safer for you to hold height. And it is a really like sneaky way to get height, and we've already seen it in game 1, right? He's just gonna do a lot more of it. Game 3, he's fighting off spawn. Not much to be said here. He's just like gonna slowly take pieces, take doubles under him. Yeah, focusing on getting some doubles. He's listening as to where the enemy is. Looks like he's pushing. There's a little nice phase trick that he goes for. He gets it to 1 HP. And notice when it's 100 HP, the other guy can't get it like a critical pickaxe hit to hit it for 100. So he's not worried about getting dropped in with his pickaxe out. Only MrSavage can break it with a critical hit to hit it for 100 and drop in. The other guy, MrSavage is gonna know when the other guy hits it because it's gonna drop by 50 HP. So if you hide under a cone like this and then break, even if the other guy's holding, you will sneak in. That's a phase trick. If the guy was there, I think MrSavage was looking for 50. Probably gonna be able to make 3 damage. Should totally chase this. Seems like he's winning. Oh, we've already broken down this fight on another video on my channel. This is where this guy spends extremely well. He spends a lot of mats, but spends extremely well. And plays defensively extremely well. And because he's constantly using his mats to get around. And, you know, expanding a new box in the opposite direction because he needs to heal. This is a bad idea. Go up. Because you always want to go opposite direction. If you try to go up, you will get broken down. You will fall as a result, so you don't want to do that. So look how long it takes Savage to get in. We've already covered this again, but really, really good by him. It sort of like griefs both of them because neither of them end up killing each other. And both of them are just using mats and shield, but it gives the other guy a chance. And I want you guys to realize, like, when you have 5 mats and actually 6 minis and 3 bigs, it's going to be really, really good for you. If you can, you know, learn this strategy to expand. That's how you win defensively. When you're losing on a fight, you need to buy yourself time to bring it back to even by using bigs. That was really good. Almost killed him. There's a guy in the bush. That's so unlucky. This game right here is not that bad for MrSavage because of the fact that he only spent like 2 to 3 to 5 minutes in the game before he died. So if you die off spawn or if you die top 5, I think those games are not that relevant. They do not like grief you that much. But if you die 10 minutes into the game, 15 minutes into the game, that's when your tournament goes downhill and it goes down the drain, right? Because you just wasted 15 minutes getting 0 points. And the biggest currency in a tournament, the biggest, most valuable currency that you need is your time, not the amount of deaths that you have, right? A lot of people lose this and then get super tilted and then play worse. It's not that big of a deal for his tournament, so he doesn't care, right? Because he only spent 5 minutes in the game. He already got a kill in that game as well. The lesson is, if you're going to W key, you should totally do it earlier so that you can get rid of it. He has a huge HP advantage, so he's going to try to get in here. Trying to find a quick way to win the fight. Again, 73rd, he fights off spawn, so it doesn't necessarily matter at all. Those guys are fighting. Should go fight the other guy, right? Totally should. Probably lose it. Good ramp. That was a good angle. Watch fighting from both people. It's just taking a long time. This is a second pad. That is so unfortunate. Still chasing him because he knows he has such a big advantage. The other guy doesn't have heals to recover. Yeah, he's. Like, it's off spawn. Like, MrSavage can pretty much guess that this guy doesn't have extra shields. So he's gonna continue to pressure this. This is a good phase in. Almost lose cover. Oh my god. Nice. Really patient. Even though he gets hit, does not panic quick, right? So patient there. Like, honestly, like, I would be the type of panic quick to come through that. Slowly cross over and get that. 35 damage, not a huge advantage. That was a good zone. Just under the box. Boxes around him in case of third party gets to this wall. Wow, predicts him. That was so good. Okay, right here, what MrSavage needs to do, because he cracks him, hits him 64, right? Instead of trying to get the left wall and trying to, like, you know, piece him, all he needs to do is not even hesitate, just literally spray forward, and as he breaks this ramp right here, is place his own ramp facing forward, so that they're both under the ramp and then looking at each other. He wants the 50-50 here, right? You just heard attack, and he already hit him 64 crack without any damage to himself. So with this HP advantage, you want a 50-50. You should totally run in. If you have a solid shot, a reliable shotgun shot, 50-50s aren't that bad. The most important thing is that you end the fight quickly, because now look what's going to happen, right? Because of the fact that he doesn't end it right away, the fight might elongate for a long time. That was a good escape. Well, yeah, like, it's so unnecessary for this fight to be going on this long, because now there's a risk of third parties coming in, and, you know, Savage, you know, potentially not winning the fight because of the other guys. The biggest thing right there is to, like, literally, I'm going to mention it again. He should have just jumped in, right? More crack, box like this, that was good. Get the cone above if you want to, and then just like AR spray. Literally AR, right? Pretty sure he has AR ammo. He does, right? And he could break that ramp, place the ramp facing forward, and he could end the fight that way. Good prediction. Doesn't get hit that much, but out trades again. He wins that trade. Now he should jump in. Right here, this is sort of like a controller player play, but I think this is much better. To try to jump in with a pump, right? Literally pump the wall for 42 or 52, whatever, and try to get in that way. So I think that would have been better, because if you jump in with the pump, you can AR the enemy and win it, because this guy's so low. Yeah, like, there's no way he's gonna kill you. And I feel like a lot of other players, a lot of other pros do this really well. Like, they do this super well, and that's why they end fights super quick and drop like super high kill rates. And I think this is something that we can learn from a lot. This is the first high elo game that MrSavage does this strat, and I want you guys to see it because it's really good. So the first thing that we're gonna learn in this specific game is the fact that first moving, he goes a little bit late because of the fact that he sees a path. Like, he knows there's a path that he can just walk across. And in first moving, one thing to understand, especially at the beginning of first moving, so let me explain this concept in solos in a launch pad meta. This is what launch pad meta looks like in solos. Let's say this is moving zone, okay? This is what moving zone looks like. In this half of the moving zone right here, in this half of the moving zone, a lot of people are going to be padding, right? Because that's what they do at the very beginning of first moving. They either place their own pad and use it, or they steal someone else's pad. And a lot of people are going to be in the air. What that means for you is height's going to be distracted because they're going to be trying to defend height by shooting other people. And there's not anyone that's boxed up looking back and holding people, because most of them are in the air. What that allows you to do is to literally free rotate. So if you can stay late, not build a tarp or anything, and let, you know, other people build in front of you, build cover for you, you can sneak in through their builds and just weave through builds and just get a free rotate. MrSavage understands this and does a perfect job of it. Notice how in this half it's a lot riskier to do that, because by the time you late rotate here, a lot of people in static zone don't have anywhere else to go, so they're just going to be boxed up. And if they're boxed up, that means there's a lot of ARs looking back towards you, holding you out, right? Like this. So that's what you don't want, right? You don't want to be free rotating or late rotating here in this second half of first moving, but in first half of first moving, it's completely safe to do so because of the amount of people that are in the air. There's not that many people on the ground, so you can literally free rotate without spending a lot of mats. And let's look at an example, right? We'll go back slightly. MrSavage again, look at the minimap. He's at the very back of moving zone, and he's going to do a good job of rotating here. Pumps this guy to get him off of himself, right? So he's going to threaten him or intimidate him. Every time you can get a free pump that where it doesn't cost you anything, you should totally pump people around you, for two reasons, right? You intimidate them, as I said, and the second reason is you can do a little bit of like an HP check. Okay, is this guy white? Is he shambled? Maybe can I go after him if I hit him white on the first try? In that sense, I feel like going after shotgun shots whenever free, you should always do it. He's going to try to hold this guy because he notices there's no one else in front of him, so he's going to get a free kill. Doesn't see it, covers his head. guy right here. You should be careful. He's getting sprayed at now. So he's gonna spend a lot of mats. When he starts getting sprayed, he starts overbuilding right here. Sprayed twice, so he's gonna overbuild. He's gonna edit out the top so he can get cover in front of him. Because again, there's a guy who's recently looking at him. And look what he does at the end of static moving, right? He always tries to base up right under height for several reasons, right? If we look at the paint thing, remember how I talked about there's a bunch of boxes looking back? They won't be able to see you if you're more elevated because the ramp is protecting you. The ramp that you're going up is protecting you from ahead of zone, right? If you're tarping and you're not placing a wall in front of you, that leaves you exposed and in general wastes a lot more mats. So in this specific case, he's trying to base up under height because he's prepping himself to take height in the next moving zone. Because look how many mats he has. He still has a really good amount of mats for second moving. This enables him to go for height even without an impact, right? So he gets beamed by height, actually I think by another player. But regardless, he's gonna heal up and then prep himself for second zone. Notice how he's not looking at outside of his box. He's not like trying to, you know, get free kills or whatever. Because he needs to heal first, right? Gets in zone and then look, he's looking up for height because he wants to go for it. Because most likely, whoever is height, right? Whoever is on height doesn't know where you are because you're in their blind spot. You're right beneath them. You've already prepped it in the previous static, right? And here, same thing. Height still doesn't see you. If I'm height player, I don't know where MrSavage is. I don't see him. So he's walking up. He's not building because building gives away your position. And shoots him again. The same thing I said at the very beginning of this video. You just shoot him to intimidate or get him to play defensive, and then just crank, right? The pump is sort of like a warning shot. Like, oh, like if you go for height, I'm gonna fight you. Like I'm not scared to fight you. Like, you need to have that sort of demeanor when you're going for height, right? You need to be confident and also, you know, threaten the other guy. You have to understand there's a human on the other side of that monitor, right? Like if you shoot them, they're gonna be very scared to go for height. So that's the reasoning as to why you do that. And also again, HP check, because the other guy might be white. If he's white, that might justify it going for the kill. Again, notice he's not that many mats, right? So look how he's building. He's building very slowly, letting stuff build in front of him, but most importantly, he's not cone flooring, right? He's just staying above, you know, relevant builds underneath him so that he can always like fall down onto another layer. And he's just staying up. So notice, first moving is very risky to hold on height because of the amount of launch patterns that might land on you and grief you. So he doesn't go for it then. Second moving, all the launch pads have most likely been used because a lot of people like to use launch pads in half zone and first moving. Second moving, most of the launch pads are gone, right? So you don't have to worry about it as much. You still have to be worried about it, right? Because some people might have it, but for most likely there's not that many launch pads left, right? So in this case, he's just holding high. He has 28 builds left, and he's just chilling. He could totally win this game. If he gets to a heal off, which it pretty much should because it keeps pulling back and forth. Every time it pulls back and forth, that means more people are going to survive because they can just use their old tarp and not waste any more mats. If it double pulls forward more often, it might not go to heal off because everyone has to burn more mats because it's so open when it pulls into a new open area. He's trying to go for kills here. I like the idea for going for kills, but I think he's wasting a lot of mats to try to go for it. In a sense, he's trying to like go for a kill, but because he's doing that, he's sort of like limiting it. Now he has less time to go for a kill because his mats are getting worse and worse. I feel like even with this amount of mats, you can like win the game. It really depends on where a heal off pulls. Like where the next moving pulls, that's what it really depends on. He might go after that guy, yeah. He notices. At least he's trying to make a proactive play. Like right here, he might get some kill. Oh, very good. So you see how it's like the attempts that he went for like sort of limits his mats. So like he used a lot of mats trying to go for it. That's sort of what I was saying earlier. Is I felt like he had enough mats because of how zone pulled back to just play the game out. Didn't necessarily need it enough. The 4 builds left. Good kill. Good kill. Yeah. Now he has mats. Now he's chilling. Now he doesn't need anything. He dropped his chuck and he needs it. Yeah. Heal off win condition, right? Good reset. Now he's lost a lot of whites though. He probably needs one more siphon for. Okay, yeah, heal off win conditions down the drain. That's unfortunate, but it happens. Like you have to understand, when we're VOD reviewing, it's so much easier to criticize. When someone's playing, it is so much harder to like actually do the things that all the things that I'm saying. It comes with practice. There's a reason why so many people feel like they like their dash or whatever. But just play worse. I don't know. What I would suggest for the win here, for like how you should win, literally is to not move forward or drop down. So let's watch it again. I mean, I don't mean drop down here. Like obviously you should drop down here. So he does that, right? Right here. Right, he gets this kill. He should just literally shoot him from above, right? Instead of dropping down all the way, or drop down onto this wall, so you're not full committed, and you still have height advantage, and height advantage naturally gives you more damage because of the fact that the angle that you're looking at him from exposes more of the head. So it's really easy to hit a headshot on from height, right? Notice most of his silhouette is literally his head. And from the enemy's perspective, you can only see Savage's toes. You can still get a headshot, but it's much harder to from the enemy's perspective. So from Savage's perspective, it's really advantageous to just remain on height. So that's what he should have done. So in this case, he dropped down too far, which made it really, really 50-50. Okay, next game. Another high-low game. This is a free kill. Off spawn and got our kill. Ooh, this guy's building nicely. Stop. That was a good cone. Oh, you're gonna do the cow trick on this kid? Maybe? Oh, he is. That cracks him. You're gonna try to jump in, I think? Yep. Nice. That's unfortunate. He has minis, he just needs time to pop. The way the other guy's playing, it doesn't seem like the other guy has heals. But he's trying really hard to death. Oh. That was a good fight. That's a free fire. You can get this kill too. You gonna pad on him? No, yeah. It's off spawn. That's why he knows everyone's scuffed. So he can go for stuff. Nice right hand peek, good jump shot as well. Really solid. Okay, this game is a really good example of understanding how far a launchpad can actually take you, right? So notice where he's standing. He's literally in static zone, right? He hasn't moved. This was his box and half zone, right? And he's in a really, really good position. But there's a really nice tactic shown here that is really, really nice. I want to show you guys. Most people, just from watching Destiny Jesus and also some other, VOD reviews, some other like YouTubers that cover Fortnite competitive, they understand what a double dip is on a launchpad, right? It's basically taking a launchpad and then coming back, even tanking storm if you need to, and then hitting it again so that you can literally land further. It's sort of like, if I take out the paint here, it's sort of like if your launchpad is right here, right? You glide, and then come back, right? Tank storm and hit it again, and then you land further, right? Because more zone has exposed further ahead because of the fact that you were in the air for so long, right? Because of that fact, you're able to double dip and land further ahead. This is very good when height's not focusing you, right? If height's focusing you, then it's probably not a good idea, and it's more of a solos game mode concept, right? Because of the fact that if you try to do this with trios, it's way too shambles, and trio height likes to spray at launchpads a lot. But one thing to understand that MrSavage takes advantage of is if you pull first moving, right? Notice how if you're positioned where the X is, you technically pulled first moving. The distance you have to travel is way less as opposed to if you were here. I think we can agree on that, right? One thing that's really important to notice about this, a special thing to notice, is if you double dip from here, you can literally land in static zone of first moving without using any builds except the box that you need in the static zone. That probably sounded really complicated, so I'm going to show you again. If you launchpad from here, right, last second, so when storm is like this, right, if you launchpad now, right, and then come back, double dip, right, hit the launchpad again, tank storm if you need to, because again, Savage has a chuck cannon, you should totally tank storm. And then you could literally land back here without tanking any more storm, right? So let me show you. It might make more sense once it's in gameplay. Right now he has nothing to do. He's waiting for storm to catch up to him so he can do the double dip strat. And again, this thing that I'm explaining, it's not the double dip. The double dip is already well known, right? With the launchpad, that stuff is already well known. What I'm trying to explain to you is the fact that this is a very efficient double dip. You don't have to build any tunnels. You can literally land in the white circle. He's looking for a spot to launchpad. That guy launchpaded back there, but he's not going to try to steal it. That's because he's too far. So again, he's going to look, he pinged it. He's going to double dip. He pings the lowest launchpad, right? Because that actually gives him more glide time midair, right? So that's really good because, you're going to slowly be lowering yourself as you're gliding. And if you pick the lowest launchpad, that gives you more air time, right? That's really good. Now notice, white circle is starting to expose. One double dip literally lands in white circle. This is what I'm referring to. Lands again, right? Remember the game 3 and game 1? I think it was game 3. But either way, the games where he went for height, where he based up underneath height, specifically to be in their blind spot, so he can go for height at the start of second moving. And I think this is really, really well done, right? Because this strategy clearly works. He's doing it on a repeating basis because it's so strong. And I promise you, if you guys learn this, practice it in scrims, and try it in a real game, in a tournament, in a solo cash cup, and play versus, you're gonna get the same results because it's actually a game sense trick. It's nothing mechanical. You could totally replicate this from MrSavage. So he bases up underneath in the blind spot of height. Height doesn't see him at all, right? And he's pretty elevated because he wants to take height. So I want you to notice. Next zone pulls. We'll notice where it pulls. And he's gonna go for height once more. Using the exact same strategy that I mentioned. He waits for height to get ahead. And then height's gonna be really distracted, right? So he sneaks up. You can clearly tell height is unaware, and he's gonna pump him. He's trying to go for the kill here because he thought he could, you know, literally one pump him there. But in that case, what I would have done is to literally get closer, right? Get closer if you want to pump him, and then try to full box. I think that's the safest way to get the kill, right? So you should run further. You have to notice this guy's so distracted. He's shooting, right? If you're shooting AR, you can't hear footsteps around you that well. So he should totally get closer, get past this line so the enemy can't wall him off, and then pump. Because at this case, like, the guy can totally save himself. So I think because the next zone pulls really far, he's not going to go for height anymore, right? And obviously I'm kind of cheating. Okay, it's like he's thinking about dropping down on his launch pad. But I don't think it's a good idea. Some random place floor could totally mess with it. Floor pad's a good idea. Gets elevated again. Potentially want to go for height again, right? But elevation in general is really good. It gives you better angle for AR and also makes it safer. Good stop out here. Yep. Good take height again. Ooh. Oh my god. He has height. That's so unfortunate. Yep. Take it. You should take it. Yep. Go up, go up, go up. Nice. Very good. Very, very good. He's in static. He has a lot more mats, right, than the end of second moving at the other game, and he's still, like, he's definitely going to win the game, for sure. It is very, very easy to win now. Height is the name of the game in solos, guys. There is no low ground in solos. Solos, low ground is not that good. Like, as compared to trios. Trios is really strong. You can pretty much guarantee second place. You don't have that much manpower in solos. You only have yourself. So holding low ground is not reliable in solos. Right, you have way more mats in trios. There's several reasons why it's stronger. Wow. That's an impact. He goes for the mats there because of how elevated the impact was. Like, the target was really elevated, almost like second height. So in that case, going for the impact is really safe. Because, like, no one's going to drop on your head, right? Because there's no one above that kill. He has the win condition, which is his chug jug. He has another win condition, which is height. Because now he can save a lot of mats. Even with 9 builds, I can pretty much guarantee that he's going to win the game. Because of the fact that he's on height. Height is the name of the game, man. If you can get height in late movings and solos, as long as you know how to hold it properly, it's pretty simple, honestly. Holding it is much simpler than taking it. You will win the game. And obviously, winning in solos is a big deal. You get a lot of points. So I definitely recommend you guys learn this strategy. And, you know, more importantly, recommend that you try it yourself in scrims before you try to, you know, just pull it off in a tournament without testing it. Or even, you know, not necessarily testing it, but learning it, getting used to it, you know, getting really good at it. Understanding what goes wrong in certain scenarios if you make a certain mistake. That is unfortunate. Yeah, so he has to go for an impact there. The only problem was that he missed this pump. You have to understand that this is not going to hit because of this, like, weird, you're so close to the edit. Even though his crosshair's on him, perfectly on him, it doesn't hit. That's kind of unfortunate. But again, that was a really good impact to go for. It's just a little bit of a micro mistake. Kill here. Oh! Yo, everything's going wrong. That's pretty funny. I think there's another game where he goes for something similar. The hype shot. I mean, it's just proof that Savage is doing this on purpose, right? Like, he's doing it on purpose. Really, really good. Either way, the fight, he's expanding, right? It's a very important concept to understand. When you're playing defensively, you need to backward snare and expand over and over. These floors on the ground are unnecessary, but it doesn't necessarily matter. It's minor details. It's a trade-off, right? And then now he's gonna full heal. Just in a cone for an extra layer. Really good. That counter shot allows him to heal fully. This is the reason why the enemy is not pressuring, because he's also it's on a left-hand peak. You have to understand the left hand is still a peak. Misses the shot, but it would have been so good if he hit it. The guy gets the wall. Oh no, actually can't. Good. All good. Again, off spawn death, right? Both these two games right here. Like, you have to understand, Savage won this cash cup. And it seems like he's kind of throwing because he lost like 2 off spawns before, and he lost 2 more off spawns now, right? This one off spawn, and then the off spawn back here that we just watched where he cowed onto a kid. Back here, right? This is an all spawn too. Look, 87 alive, and it's very early in the game. You have to understand, these don't matter. You've wasted 2 minutes in the game, right? Again, all you need to worry about is the time. As long as you don't die off spawn like 6 times and then waste a bunch of games, your tournament shouldn't be affected. Again, off spawn makes a lot of sense to makes a lot of sense to WT. Right? If you die, it's not that big of a deal. As long as you don't die a lot. Also had a huge HP advantage, so there's another justification there. Alright, here we go. That was so smart. That is so smart. There's a launch pad right here next to Savage. You can tell that this guy wants to go for it, to jump on it. But he shoots him midair and then places the floor to catch him. And then opens it and then cones the launch pad. It doesn't cone the launch, cones it after. It cones the top, trapped in the box. So he gets a free impact and then uses the launch pad after to get into half-up. So well done. So well done. Alright, same situation. Can we agree? the double dip. He pulled first moving, so he's on the close side of first moving. That means the distance between him and the first moving ending is very minimal. It's the shortest it can possibly be. So you can double dip, right? You can double dip his launch pad and land in the white circle without burning any mats. I want you guys to recognize that. Doing the same thing as that other game, the last end game played watch, and he's just gonna spray back so there's nothing else to do. Try to get some kills. This is like idle time. Like he already planned that he's gonna launch pad. He's just gonna spray it. He either get storm surge or just look for a free kill point. Pads, and we're gonna notice the double dip. Oh, he doesn't actually double dip because it's hold on height. It's very close to the static zone. He's thinking about height, right? He's really good match. Just thinking about height. That's all he cares about. If you can somehow secure height solos, you're gonna be chilling. And to get a good visual of height, you need to be elevated. It gets more elevated again. Like it's really elevated. Chilling over here. Doesn't even box. Prepping for it. He already knows he's gonna do it, right? Getting up. Get up. Oh! Not. That was a really good shot. Full impact. Now he has height for sure. Yeah, he can tarp this the rest of the game. Should probably pad that. He could pad that, honestly. But either one works. He's staying really elevated to be out of range of the launch pad. Next there. It's a lot of mats, so you could afford to double like the front floor. See, like this is where you should just use the launch pad, in my personal opinion. You can do the strat where you do the backwards ramp and then put a floor in front so you don't glide. You can just land on top of the next height. I feel like launch padding over and over would be a lot safer than this, but Savage better player than I am, honestly. Like you might have a good Savage has a shit ton of mats. Like he has a lot of mats, right? Like he is so healthy on mats, so he can afford to like literally tarp across. And he's doing it pretty safely. You have to understand that, you know, when he's dropping, he's doing double walls. Double walls are really strong, because if you shoot at one wall, the other one holds it up. I don't know if you're here at all, but the way he takes height so, like, consistently is because of this one strategy that he does. He sneaks up at the end of the first moving. He does it so consistently. This catch up, he did it like 4 times. It's crazy.
That if you vibe Tayson, that's around the time that he does it too.
Yep. It's because in solos, you don't have enough mats to hold it from half-half consistently. And you have to understand, it's very hard to find impacts from height because you're not close to anyone. Nice kill. You can maybe get
that. That was a good shot.
Yeah, it was. I don't know how you hit that on high stakes, but it's really hard to like hold it from half-half without any impact. Oh my god. Like if you can take it at the end of first moving, you're gonna have a much easier time holding it. Because then you have less and like moving zones to hold it from. And honestly, in solos, the best way to hold height is to like play in a way, and you can see it in like the last 2 movings. Savage was playing really high, play in a way that even the dumb people don't have access to you, so you don't get griefed, right? Like play really high up, so that launch padders can't land on you. You're pressuring the gliders so they can't land on you. Like all the things that MrSavage is doing is very obvious. He's doing it in like, it's obvious as to why he's doing it. It's not necessarily obvious to like come up with the shot himself. I think it's very smart the way he's playing solos. So close. He's literally one HP. Last game. He kill off spawn.
Where was his drop spot?
He lands like a variety of places. He landed sweaty sometimes. He landed there's places south of this, and then this castle like left of sweaty. There's like several different drop spots that he lands. He doesn't stick to them, which is uncommon.
That's actually kind of cool. He consistently lands at the same location, so rotations wouldn't really change too much.
Yes, that's right. It'd be similar rotation no matter what. Yep. right away, he's gonna take it, but it's not that much.
Yeah. He also has less mats than he did before, so
that is a really good point.
He does need, if he's gonna take height, he needs to be more minimal on how much he's gonna consume.
Yep.
And he also has a cow. Oh damn! Barely take anything.
God double wall, yeah. You're absolutely right. That's actually the exact reason why he doesn't go for it. I could not agree more. Wow.
Use the mats.
Someone took it. I'm gonna get that refresh. It's so unfortunate. Like, this is going so badly.
Oh, the physics isn't working in his favor. But he's getting front side.
Yep.
Which is
he has
really
enough mats to
important.
make him watch. Yeah, he's choking in his zone now. That's 13 goals. Doesn't hit him hard.
Oh, he outlooked. Oh. Man,
Should
that.
build on the break maybe?
Yeah, I think he might 50-50 the next engagement.
Yeah, he's running up. That's 10 builds.
They're fighting down here, which is a saving grace.
That's so low.
I like how he keeps his confidence and aggression at that point. A lot of people start panicking whenever they have all that motion
A lot of
going
people
on.
don't even go for stuff, like, at this point. Like, you're so low on mats, like, at the point, you need to take a risk. Like, you can't just, like, sit still. If you sit still, that's probably the worst thing you can do. You're gonna die slowly instead of, like, taking a risk, like a risk-reward play. Again, sits in the blind spot of height here, like, at that one point. That was really good. But he understands he has mats, so he gets on it. He's gonna survive for an absurd amount of time here. That's crazy. But for how low mats he was, like, it's actually ridiculous how long he's survived. He should get up there. Yeah, look, he's gonna sit in the blind spot. Right here. Height can't see him. He's right under height. Way safer than fighting the looking at people. Not necessarily gonna go for it. Oh, third place, not bad.
I don't know if I
Third
won
place
that.
is really, really good. He wins the cash cup, and it's because of two main things. Number one, every time he can take height at the end of first moving of the strat that we, based on the strat that we just discussed, of being under second height in their blind spot and then going up for it and surprising them. He does it almost every single time when he has the mats to support it. Second reason, he hasn't died once mid game. He actually died 5 times off spawn or so, something around that. And that doesn't matter that much because you've only invested 2 to 3 to 4 minutes in that game. That doesn't matter. You didn't waste a lot of time, right? Doesn't necessarily matter at all. I think those two main reasons is exactly why he won the cash cup. But guys, that's basically it. MrSavage gave a very good display of how to take height consistently, and there's a very specific strategy, if you notice in the game, how he does it, right? Which is basically end of first moving, sneak up to height, be under them, but be very elevated, so you're already prepped to take it. But be in their blind spot, be in their right under them, right, where they can't see you easily. And then when the next moving starts, just when it's about to start going, wait until height starts tarping ahead, and then try to take it, and you'll have a really good shot at taking height there. So thank you guys again for watching the video. Hope you guys learned something new, because I think that there's a very good strategy in this video for making money in your next solo cash cup. So if you pay attention and practice it in scrims, I have no doubt you'll do better than you ever have. And hope you guys succeed. Thank you for watching the video once more, and I'll see you guys in the next one.